All right. Well, I assume Ollie's gonna gonna sign it at some point, but we'll just get started anyways. I'll let him in when he tries to get in. So I haven't prepped anything because Ollie does all the talking usually. But for those who don't know, Jeff Roberts, our Carnethy member to the south down in York, is going to give the winter talk tonight. I'm not going to say too much about his topic because, as Ollie says, doesn't like to steal his thunder. But the link to his charity is in the chat. It's the Keswick Mountain Rescue, in case you came in a bit later and it's not in the chat anymore. There's Ollie. I'll let him in. And maybe he could do the same again. But maybe I'll let Ollie introduce you for the recording so I don't have to hear myself. Or we can just carry on. Just go for it, Jeff.
Are we?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. Well, against my better judgment, I have agreed to give one of these talks, but it's for a good cause. So yes, please give generously to Keswick Mountain Rescue. That seemed an appropriate one since they cover the Bob Graham route. Yeah. So this is what was written on my fridge at the beginning of 2020. I pretty much had one goal for running last year, and spoiler alert, I achieved it. Right, we can all go home. So yeah, this talk is not really how to do a Bob Graham round, or certainly not the optimal training plan for one, but yeah, hopefully it's amusing, some of the things I got up to during lockdown. Oh dear. Sorry, just having some slight technical difficulties. The slides are not moving. Okay. And now I've lost all my notes. Bear with me a second. Okay, so firstly, just a bit about myself, just for those that are new to Carnethy in the last couple of years or that don't know me so well. I first got into hill running through mountain marathons back in 2012, doing the Lamb with Heather Monroe. And picture on the top left there is me and Fraser Gibson on the Highlander in 2016. So yeah, I describe myself very much as a social runner. So I just like getting out into the hills, and yeah, I think there's very few Carnethy social runs that I haven't been on since joining, and I've even started organizing a few of them myself. Although sadly this year there will be no 7 Hills, 7 Stouts. But yeah, it's been quite good fun planning and organizing runs. One's down the bottom left. That's one run that finished at Cross Borders Brewery, and another one that started from Cross Borders Brewery and went round all the tap rooms of Edinburgh. So another thing I've really enjoyed with Carnethy is the Winter Ultra series, and for anyone that is thinking about giving one of the rounds a go, I would definitely recommend that as your winter training plan of getting out on them. And I guess I went from thinking, gosh, yeah, that's way too far for me, to going on pretty much all of them. The last year I was up in Edinburgh. Just to set my credentials as being a kind of middle of the pack runner, this is from my PB at the Pentland Skyline in 2018, which is 3 hours 27:59. And so yeah, definitely, I'm sure there's plenty of people on this call even that have done it quicker than that. So yeah, and also I should add that my personal worst is 3:46:31 in 2019. So I was on a good trajectory for 2020. Yeah. If it'd been on, if that graph had continued, I was probably on for about 4 hours. So, but maybe not. So yeah, and through Carnethy, also got a bit of an interest through these talks and other people doing the Ramsey round, and getting to support a couple of them. And yeah, was quite keen to give that a go. However, I then moved to York after that Skyline in 2018, and yeah, the new playground is the Lake District. It's just over 2 hours away from me here in York, so it's pretty handy. And yeah, had to find some new friends down here, and obviously York Beer Runners fulfilled that. So yeah, I still haven't joined an actual running club down in York, and this is just a group that normally meets once a month, goes for a run and have some beers in the pub. But it's through this group that I've met a lot of people, a few people that have helped me out immensely on the Bob Graham. Yeah, in fact, after meeting Nikki and Rich in the pub a few weeks later, one of their friends arrived at my door 6:30 in the morning. Never met him before, and we drove off up to the lakes, met another friend of his. I went running for 8 hours. Yeah, just love that aspect of the kind of fell running community, getting out and supporting others. It's been really great. So bottom left, this was the first round, Bob Graham round I supported. This is Louis, who was a member of Carnethy briefly. Some of you may have met him. So yeah, he got round successfully, and that was at the beginning of leg 2. And then obviously I have to mention the next one that I supported, because he gave the last talk. This is John Kelly on his first attempt at the Grand Round. Don't know if you can read it, but yeah, about the time off request says, reason, running in the hills with strangers. So, which, yeah. And most of the people I've supported, I've met them on the round or at the moot hall. Yeah, as you can see from the photos, as John described, the conditions were pretty horrible that day. Certainly not ideal. You definitely want to wait for a better weather day. Yeah. So yeah, things were going well until lockdown, and yeah, my final run before we got locked down was a recce of leg 1, and then that was it. Onto our daily exercise. Yeah, and I'm sure most of you are similar, that when you're told you can only go out once a day for exercise, you damn well get out once a day for exercise. And I'm pretty sure at the start of lockdown, I was probably doing more mileage than I had been prior to that. Yeah. So yeah, you get bored of just exploring from your doorstep and trying to find new places to go. And just before lockdown, I'd been up staying with Ollie at the C5, and his friend Spike had talked about a run that they do in Sheffield called the Seven Hills, where they run around the 7 William Hills of Sheffield. And yeah, we were discussing whether there was perhaps a version of that I could do in York, given its lack of hills. So so this was one of the ones that I did at the start of lockdown. I went trying to find any named hills in York. There's not many of them, and they're only about 20 or 30 meters high. And then I added in the 4 William Hills for good measure, just to make it interesting. And at the same time as this, my friends Nikki and Rich, who I met through Beer Runners, they were having similar ideas to entertain themselves, trying to find. So they did the National Three Peaks. They've also run around the Yorkshire Three Peaks in street signs. So this gave me an idea for something to do. And, you know, an excuse to go exploring different bits of York. And I think I started off with doing all the streets that began with the letter Y, because why not? Although I managed to miss one. So yeah, I needed to find a better way of searching for the street names. The lists were not great. So I found this website, Overpass Turbo. Basically, it's a query tool for open street maps. So you can, and as you can see, it will tell you all the streets in York that, in this case, contain the word red. So yeah, so with this tool, pick a word that perhaps can be turned into a funny name for a run. Search. Hopefully you get at least one, but a few would be preferable. But obviously you don't want too many. And yeah, you have yourself a lockdown hobby going on these runs. So that one, red, that became seeing red. And the following day, I was going for a run. What could this one be? Yep, it's the old ones are the best. And the good thing about Zoom is that I can't hear all the groans that are going around the audience right now. Or maybe laughter. I have no idea, but groan or laugh away. I don't care. I'm in my own little bubble at the moment. And just to warn you, this is just the middle of lockdown 1. We've still got lockdown 2 and 3 to go, so brace yourselves. So this was mixed nuts. And yes, I probably was going a little bit nuts by this point in lockdown. And then May Day, bank holiday, called for a run. And some nice wildlife on that one too, which was nice. Let you have a think where this one might be going. Yep, we're going on a bear hunt. And I found one. Although, to be fair, I did know where it was to begin with. Although, a lot of these things, I never knew they existed in York before all this. This was a real voyage of discovery, of just visiting all the parts of York that never been to. And I now know the city pretty damn well, and go out with people that have lived in York all their lives. God, I've never been down this way before, and so it's quite nice to be showing them all, giving them all a tour of their city. Here's a couple more. So, yep, it was getting pretty warm by this point in lockdown, so that's what inspired that one. Obviously, everyone's heard of the Grand Old Duke of York, so I had to do something for that. So that was the end of lockdown 1. There was a lot of other things going on in lockdown 1, which we'll come to in a minute. But we've got a few more for lockdown 2 and 3. So started off looking for love. Somebody actually asked whether everything was okay with me and Helen after that one. I was a bit worried. And then obviously my way of celebrating St. Andrew's Day this year had to involve going for a run. And then so we, as the nights drew in, it was time to go out collecting chestnuts. And the big run appealed to me because it was, of course, a very short run. Getting fit, getting wet. I'll let you read about them. So, yep, there's more. So I am a loyal listener of More or Less on BBC Radio 4. So I had this one in mind for a little while, had to get out and do that. And there's only one street with less in it, but that's enough to make it count. And also, if you look at the top left corner of the route, Helen suggested, Helen is my partner, for those that don't know. She suggested that for it to truly be more or less within the ring road, I had to go slightly out the ring road. So thanks to Helen, that took it over 30k. It was only an extra couple of k. Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, this is a bit of a last minute idea to go for a run for our president's birthday. And now, I don't know if Mark actually saw this. He didn't mention anything at the time. So so this could be a belated happy birthday, Mark. Here's your present. I think he was struggling with various social media on the day. So
I do apologise, I missed it, Jeff, but thank you very much. I am honoured.
Excellent. I thought that would be a bit fun. It got me out the house. Yeah, I wasn't going to go for a run that day otherwise, and that's what a lot of this was. It got me out, and so they got me out a bit further some days. Right, we're almost done with these. You'll know which day in January this is, and just if you look at the images, I sometimes will have a look on Street View just to check there is a street sign, and when I got to this one, I couldn't find it. And the photo on the right, you'll see they've got to put the sign of a new sign right across the street sign. So I nearly missed it. I had to go searching and managed to take a photo up behind, because obviously, yeah, it isn't complete without a photo of it. So, yes. Yeah, final one for the most recent one for now, and yeah, quite apt that it finishes on one of the street names that originally inspired all of this madness. And hopefully I'll get back soon. But for now, I'm going to look at some other lockdown challenges that were going on. And in York, someone from one of the running clubs set up York Virtual Running Club. And I must admit, I wasn't particularly interested in doing a virtual 10K road race, but they did have a month where they were doing Strava art once a week. And obviously that appealed to me and I had to get involved. So yeah, I think I peaked a bit early with Bart. That got beaten in week one by a dragon. I came second with that one. Then the bug got beaten by a shark in week two. And I suspect more because people were just losing interest in it by week three. I finally won one of them with the maze. And then in week four, had to go out doing a socially distanced run. While Strava, for reasons unknown to me, decided to cut off one of the legs. And finally, a hot air balloon. Yeah, a bit of fun at least to keep me entertained during lockdown. But so what else in lockdown? Hill reps. I mean, I was going to say, at the start I was going to say I've probably been to Carnethy hill reps as many times as I've missed a Carnethy social run, but that's not to say that anybody planning a round should not go to hill reps. I'm sure hill reps are a very good thing to be doing. So from my hills of York, this is Bailey Hill. It's only 40 foot or 12 meters high, but it's probably the steepest hill in York, and it's off road as well. So it's a bit more like actually running in the hills. And just to be sure, I did go along with a tape measure one evening just to check that what I'd read, because it isn't marked on a map as with a height or anything. So I did measure just to check that it was before I went out and tried to get a Munro's worth of ascent. That's 75 reps of Bailey Hill for a Munro. Although my counting strategy wasn't good. I looked back and I've actually done 77 reps of it. But never mind. So decided I was going to do Ben Nevis on Bailey Hill one day, and I needed a better method of counting the reps. So this is what I did. I took a little bag of 111 M&Ms and ate one every time I got to the top. They gave it, easy way to keep track of the reps, and it would keep me fueled for a couple of hours or so. Although what I learned from that is eating M&Ms one at a time for 2 hours, you get very sick of M&Ms. Yeah, definitely wouldn't recommend that. And that was going to be the end of my Bailey Hill reps, but then I spotted on Strava that Alex McVeigh had done a vertical mile on Craiglockhart Hill, and that got me thinking, how many reps is it for a vertical mile on Bailey Hill? Well, it's 132, and so came up with a new counting strategy. Bit of variety in there, still a few M&Ms, but some fruit and nuts and jelly babies, some bits of pepperami as well. So set off, and on a very hot day, went and did 132 reps of Bailey Hill, and was pretty tired at the end of it. So another lockdown thing. Hopefully some of you have heard of Bo Miles, Australian guy. If you haven't, I would highly recommend going and watching A Mile an Hour. It's a really great film. It's only 15-20 minutes long. Yeah, really worth watching, and it inspired my friend Rich to have a go at doing something similar. He decided to do 2 miles an hour. And he did it to get up to 50 miles. And this was my initial reaction to it on Strava. Yeah, seems I really don't need much encouragement to do stupid things. Because if you look at the timestamp on this, yeah, it didn't take very long. So I didn't do exactly the same as Rich. I must stress that it was never about trying to outdo him or go one better or stupider, for that matter. But I came up with a plan of doing 4K loops for 25 hours to make it a nice round 100K. That seemed like a suitable challenge for a really hot day in May. And yeah, I was working 4-day weeks at the time, so decided I'd set off at 5 o'clock on Thursday with the plan that I'd have beer and pizza in the garden with a few folk after work on Friday. So called the first run one of 25, and by 2 of 25 I got this message. Good thing about calling a run something like that is that it does kind of does force you to get to 25 if you've called them 1 of 25, 2 of 25. So yeah, and I had hoped, like Bo, that I might actually do something useful in the half hour I had between laps, and for the first couple, I did help make a lasagna, which would keep me fueled through the night. Watched an episode of TV with Helen, but as it beyond the first few laps, it was more taken up with eating, stretching, drinking. Yeah. So 1 o'clock loop, I met this guy. But I did try to sleep during the night, but turns out you get in and lie down on the sofa. For the first 10 minutes, you're too hot for a blanket. Then you wake up too cold. And so didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but enough. And managed to keep getting up when the alarm went off. Get out, put my shoes on, get to the end of the road, start Strava on the hour, every hour. And in the morning, for 3 of the laps in the morning when it was a bit cooler, Helen came out and joined me, and that was really nice. Just to have somebody running with you, it was really great. Yeah, she was comfortably able to keep up with my pace by that point. I'd definitely slowed down quite a bit. For lap 21, Rich showed up, but I think on his lunch break, came out and joined me. And so this is a photo of me coming to the end of my second marathon, and nearly at the finish. Pretty hot day. So, yeah, but made it to the end. We had beer and pizza in the garden, and yeah, I was pretty wrecked after that. But turns out that was actually probably one of the best bits of training I did during lockdown. Just it's 24 hours, it's hard, and it's a mental battle as much as anything to keep going out and getting going. So, anyway, right, we'll get back to the fells. Beginning of July in 2020, complete with lockdown hair, back in the Lake District and out for a long run on most of leg 2 as an out and back. And spent a night bivvying because couldn't get any campsites at that point in time. Really annoying. The wind kept me awake all night, and then came down to the car for breakfast and was getting bitten by midges while I was having my porridge. Something not quite right about that. Yeah, and then yeah, the other person I should mention from Beer Runners is Grace, who's the second runner in the photo in the purple top. Met her through Beer Runners literally just before lockdown. I think she came to a couple of Beer Runners, and she set me up with a couple of people to go and support in July. So those were perfect training. Yeah, I was going to go up to the lakes anyway, and so getting to go and support. Yeah, I get big days back to back. So yeah, the first one I did leg 4 support on the Saturday, having run in from Seathwaite and back to there at the end. And then on the Sunday, I went and recce'd the final summits of leg 3 that I hadn't been up. So that was really good. And then, yeah, this photo, so when Alex and Ben came down and joined me to support Ursula on her incredible 21-hour 30 Bob Graham round. We joined at high raise on leg 3 and went through to the end of leg 4. That was 2 weeks before my attempt was scheduled. That was a really good test. And yeah, it was a little bit sore afterwards, but yeah, I think that gave me the confidence to go, yeah, probably not too far off being ready. So, my turn. Yeah, didn't get much sleep on the Friday afternoon. It was more a case of resting in the tent with my eyes shut, and yeah, it was pretty nervous going to the start, but picked up Graham Nash and Alistair Cox in Throckhold, and drove back to Keswick, and off we went. One thing I have to say, the great thing about doing this in lockdown when there's no races on is that if you can get a pretty good crew together, you're encouraged not to have a large crew, but yeah, of my 10 support runners, 6 of them were already members of the Bob Graham Club. And Graham and Alistair were the first 2 of those. So yeah, we went off on what was really quite nice night run, although I felt pretty underdressed for it. It's weird setting off on a run in the hills where you're not wearing a backpack, and with all your gear that's all being carried for you. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about leg one, really. Other, the usual dodgy chat from Graham, which most of which can't be repeated on here. I guess there was the risk of putting Graham on leg one, that he might just carry on for leg two and maybe 3 and 4, and well, if he's done 4, he'll do the whole thing. He does have form on that sort of thing on the Ramsey round, but as it was, I was happy just to go for a nice run, and they were probably back in Edinburgh having breakfast before I'd finished leg 2. So leg 2, I had John Ryan and Mark Hartree. Mark trying to keep up with me and John. So, as you can see, it was absolutely stunning dawn in the lakes. I was really quite jealous of some of the people that we passed on the way, people that had been camping up there that and setting up to take photos. So I was like, I really enjoy taking photos when I'm out running in the hills, and kind of missed not being able to do that on this run.
I was only slow, Jeff, because I was taking these lovely photos for you.
Exactly. That's true, Mark. Thank you. Yes, really appreciate the photos. They are great. Leg 2 is pretty nice, pretty runnable. I was still feeling relatively good. Probably wasn't eating and drinking enough. One of John's first questions was when had I last peed? And he wasn't too impressed when I said that it was just outside Keswick. So that became his mission to keep me fed and watered, and and it was already starting to heat up. We had a pretty good weather forecast. It was clear, visibility was good. There was no rain due until the very end, but it did get very hot. So just before, coming to Dunmail Raise, that was the view my support crew got as they drove in. I'll just play the video from here.
22. Oh, wow. Excellent. Well done. Woo! Come on, Joe. Okay. Do you have your cheek sticks? You do. Yeah, I have that. Alex has them. Kristen! Hey.
The dog's like, come on.
Can we go now? It's warm up there.
Is it?
I'm glad that I was on leg 2.
I don't know if you heard John at the end there saying it's warm up there, and he was glad he was on leg 2. And at the beginning of that, you saw me. I put in a request for some liquid porridge, or drinkable porridge. That's what I wanted. And anything cloying would have been difficult. So off we went into leg 3, up out of the fog and into the heat. It wasn't going so well then. Just on Steelfell, on the climb up there, I was starting to cramp up, and there's no good place to be getting cramp on a bob, but that seemed pretty early to be getting cramp. thankfully, I had super supporter Alex with me, and he had some high five electrolytes and got me drinking those, and that seemed to just about fix it, or it was at least manageable, and hobbled on. The only problem is that that high five stuff had caffeine in it as well, and kind of diuretic effect of that. I was peeing for the rest of the round, so so yeah, it was pretty hard going. I was, definitely struggling. We got on around the Langdale Pikes and up to Rossett Pike, where we met Ian, who was going to be supporting me on leg 5, but he'd also come out to do. He'd gone ahead on leg 3 to set up shop with various things for me to eat when we got to the Rossett Pike. So I wolfed down some mandarins and juice, and that gave me a boost to get up Bow Fell. Where if I remember, I was quite emotional when I got up Bow Fell. I think I was 12 hours in, and it was still on schedule, and even despite the problems, it was still on. I think just kept thinking to myself that I might not get a better opportunity than this. To do the bob. The weather was relatively good. We had good visibility. I had an awesome support crew, and so I had to give it my best. And slog continued, and unbeknownst to me, John had at the end of later he'd grabbed a pot of rice pudding because I'd enjoyed one of his on leg 2, and he brought that up, ran in from Honister and brought that up to Escos just before Great End. So I munched that on the way up, and I think Ian had been on a search for more water. And, we kept going. And the photo at the bottom left, that's me approaching the summit of Scaffold Pike, where apparently I was in no mood for a photo shoot and just wanted to carry on. Quite enjoyed going up Scaffold. I think I quite enjoyed the scramble up there, and Ben, the dog, remembered the route from 2 weeks earlier. So I made it to Wasdale.
This way. Yeah, this way's good. Well done.
Yeah. I think we can put the 5 minutes down to a shithole.
Just pop into the campsite at the top. The car park, sorry.
Yeah.
Just down the side.
So by all accounts, I was a bit grumpy by this stage. Not my usual self. But the main thing was I did manage to eat and drink quite a bit in the car park there. Some falafel wrap and a slice of Helen's delicious lemon and blueberry cake. And I would highly recommend that as fuel for anyone doing around. However, unbeknownst to me, one of my pacers, Tristan, had managed to drop off the back of the group on the final descent in, and he'd missed the turn off to the car park and was heading to Wasdale Head Inn, with all my emergency gear. But I never didn't find out about this. Rich just grabbed some stuff from my bag and didn't tell me, and off we went up out of Wasdale. And as we all know, there is no easy way out of Wasdale. And yeah, I think my thoughts at the time were something along the lines of, the further I go up here, the further I've got to go back when I bail. That's not a good thought to be having. And I genuinely thought this was all internal stuff. But when I was running with Ursula, about a month later, she told me that, no, I had actually said out loud, I think I'm done. And yeah, somehow I don't remember much of this, but yeah, they clearly talked me out of it, or I just kept going because I couldn't think of a better option, and couldn't face the support crew having to drive back into Wasdale to scrape me off the road. So the best option was just to keep plodding on. And apparently I was still on schedule and was still climbing pretty well. And Rich sent a message to the group that by steeple I'd actually perked up a bit. So yeah, I think mentally, yeah, once you're up onto that ridge, it's quite nice. But yeah, I was climbing well. Anything runnable, not so much. I think just trying to. My knee was pretty sore by this point, and just still wary of cramping up. So, but the climbing pace kept me on schedule, and yeah, I could descend reasonably well. Yeah. So also, yeah. So I just listening to Ursula and Rich just chatting about their adventures in Europe running, and Ursula's a ski mountaineering champion. So yeah, quite just happy to just listen to them and carry on. And also Ursula, she'd run in from Honister and stashed some water on the way, so that was really useful because it was still pretty warm in a vest. And yeah, what else? Yeah, so I'd supported Ursula 2 weeks before. And actually, my on her 21-hour 30 Bob Graham, but we were a minute faster going up Great Gable. So there's my little claim on that. So yeah, that really highlighted just how well I was still climbing, and that was what was keeping me in it, I think. So right, almost there. That was good.
Well done. Smashing it.
Almost there.
Almost there. Glory leg. Let me run ahead and get the gate. Oh, they've got it. Cool. I'm afraid we're at the far end because Ian's a cheapskate.
What?
The car park down that way is free, so we're at the far end.
Sorry?
Straight through.
Okay.
Well done. That's Wendy's odds. She's famous. Supporting that 60 and 60 that you just told me.
Oh, right, yes.
Get some terrible footage. Hello.
So, as you probably tell from that, I really wasn't with it. I didn't understand anything other than just go straight ahead. So, there we go. But the end was in sight. Some more cake, tea and Coke, and off we went on a slog up Dale Head. Yeah, actually, because it really was still pretty warm that I just kept my vest on. And I'm not normally one to run in a vest. Yeah, glad I'd put it in. Yeah, and this was even as the rain started falling, just a little bit of light rain, but enough to make it slippy and treacherous for coming off down the rocks on Robinson. Yeah, I was pretty glad to get off there, and yeah, fresh shoes, t-shirt, and Nikki had been driving the camper van around all day. She joined me for the run-in, along with Ian and Tristan. Yeah, I think, yeah, well, probably once I knew that, yeah, I was comfortably on for under 24 hours, that even the slightest incline on I think John Kelly said a couple of weeks ago that road is hellish. It's just a horrible way to it just goes on, and I just was not in the mood for it. I just wanted it all to be over by that point. Ian had asked me if I was going for a time, and I just said no, just get me there in under 24 hours, that'll do. I'd had this wonderful idea beforehand that on the road in we could have beers from the camper van in a kind of final leg of the Tour de France style, but yeah, it was the first time for everything. I did not want a beer. So anyway, here we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so made it. Joined a running club in England. And, yeah, we'll run for beer, but turns out if I run too far, I don't actually want a beer. I struggled my way through half a can of beer on the steps. All my patients enjoyed theirs though, so that was the main thing. Yeah, and yeah, thanks very much once again to a really incredible group of runners that got me around through some pretty tough times, especially in the middle of it. Yeah, and yeah, a couple of weeks later, I was back in the lakes on holiday with Helen. I finally got to the round and got my free pint of beer to have at the Moot Hall, because I was a bit late when I got there. So yeah, sure some people were probably wondering what's next. Well, this is what's written on the fridge at the moment. So we'll see what happens this year, if I can get some hill fitness back again and get up for a final recce. We'll see, and maybe a few other days in the lakes. So I've got some ideas to keep me entertained there. So yeah, 2020 turned out to be not such a bad year for running after all, and yeah, yeah, very aware of just how privileged I am to be in a position where I could make the most of the situation. And yeah, just thanks once again to my crew, and yeah, please give some money to Keswick Mountain Rescue. Thanks very much. So, is everybody left then? Is it
No,
just me and you left, Sean?
No, there's quite a few people. I was wondering if Ollie's still here. I saw his name, but there's an Ollie, but maybe that's not him. Anyways, I guess I can read the questions. That's what usually. Thanks very much. That was a great talk, Jeff. To be honest, I've been feeling rather uninspired since the beginning of the first lockdown, and this is kind of actually, kind of got me thinking that maybe I should be running more. So that's great.
There are plenty of opportunities out there. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try and look through here. How long? Okay, this is from Will and Rachel Norman. How long does one rep of Bailey Hill take?
Depends how quick you do it. I don't know. 45 seconds, a minute, something like that. Is or to do the loop, and yeah, with time to eat an M&M and have a drink of water or something, and chat to anybody who's wondering what the hell you're doing. Although, to be honest, I saw very few people. It really wasn't like Ben Nevis. I think I saw one person the whole time I did that.
Okay, because that was actually the next question from Murdo saying, on your Bailey Hill reps, did you meet anyone, e.g. dog walkers, several times, and did they wonder what you were up to?
No, didn't meet many people. I did chat to a few people about it. Yeah. Actually, the week before my bob attempt, I met some folk up there at the top who'd set up a slack line, and of course I had a go and fell off and cracked my phone screen. So yeah, some good preparation for the bob.
All right, the next one's from Helen Milne. It says, just more of a comment than a question. We thought we were just going for a run with Jeff and ended up supporting two legs of the BG. So, this is a question from me. Did you train with poles when you were in York? I've heard that you have to kind of train for running with poles. Did you run around York with poles, or did you just? Oh, Jeff, are you there?
Hello.
Oh,
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think you just cut out.
Okay. My question was, did you train with poles when you were in York? Or...
not in York, but when I was in the lakes, I did get into using them because they definitely help. I've definitely found them to help. Yeah. So my final recce before lockdown, I had them with me and used them pretty much the whole way. And yeah, I decided there and then that yeah, I was going to use them from the start.
Yeah. All right. So Mark, again, and more of a comment saying, great, book me in for support. That's for the Ramsey round. So you've got one supporter. Oh, Ollie, great talk. His internet died. He's on his phone, and then the internet died again. So that's where he is. A question from Mark. What was your maximum ascent done on York Hills? From Mark Archery.
Well, I think it has to be that vertical mile. Although Strava won't recognize it as such, I think it had it as only a few hundred meters of ascent, because it's just such a small hill. It doesn't know whether you've been up it halfway up it. I'm not even sure it knows how high it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you'd maybe get 400 or 500 meters of ascent on Strava. But as I said, that's why I went there with a measuring tape, just to verify that what I'd read was correct, that it was actually 12 meters high from pavement level up.
Excellent. So more congratulations. Hillary Spenceley says, great talk. Richard Chandler, congratulations on your round. Did you go up broad stand?
No, I didn't. I went up Westwall Traverse, or Lord's Rake, and then Westwall Traverse. So I really like that route, and it's the way I'd recce'd. was it was actually due to, on Ursula's round, she was meant to have people there with ropes to go up broad stand. Although to be honest, me and Alex might have just gone round the other way anyway, just for speed, not to take up time on ropes or anything. So I don't know. I must go back and do it sometime, just to try it. I'm sure it's a fun way to go up.
So that's just part of the route where you actually have to do some climbing to get up?
Yeah, I think there's just one move that's maybe that's a bit exposed. It's not difficult, and if it's dry, yeah, it probably would have been fine. But yeah, don't really lose too much time going the other way anyway. I went up it pretty quick.
Okay, I'm going to skip over people as Ollie does. Oh, we actually don't have that many. I'll repeat people. Mark wants to know if you ran 25 M&Ms on your 100K to keep count, or did you need to do that?
Well, no, I was logging each of them on Strava, so and titling them, 1 of 25, 2 of 25, 3 of 25. So, that was easy to.
Okay. What was another one from Helen Milne? What was your longest run before BG?
Ooh. So probably one of the Winter Ultra series. Although they don't necessarily have as much ascent. So really the biggest one was perhaps actually doing most of leg 3 and 4 2 weeks before, just for the amount of vert in that, and it's a pretty long run too. So yeah, I haven't been especially far,
except for 100 kilometers.
Well, yeah, yeah, but I think that's why that was genuinely some of the best training I did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure that could be adapted for someone, if they wanted to just get a feel for how you're going to react to keeping going for 24 hours. Because it really is as much a mental battle as anything else. As I'm sure anyone who's done it will tell you.
Murdo is wondering, were other folk doing their BGR at the same time as you? Did you see other people out doing the same thing, or do you remember?
I've got to admit, my memories are a bit vague. I don't think there was many, or certainly not at similar time. There was, as you maybe heard in the video coming to Honister, there was a 60 attempt going on. We passed them a couple of times, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so there's just 2 more.
I do know the stats that there were 84 successful Bob Grahams last year, or people completed it for the first time to join the club, and it was about a 50% success rate of people. So yeah, 1 of 84.
Yeah, and I mean, odds are there probably was someone. I mean, out of 160 people, and there's only so many good days in the year. You never know.
Oh yeah. I'm sure
with someone. Yeah,
I'm sure there were just didn't necessarily see any evidence of other crew, or we didn't overtake anyone, or didn't get overtaken by anyone going super fast, or I didn't notice anyway.
Cool. So the last 2 are just comments. So Dave Spencer says, well done, great talk. Didn't expect to see a picture of a street in York where I used to live. Not sure what street that was, but that's kind of cool. And Haley Spencer wants to know if you just throw random letters at your fridge. Oh, actually, that's from Andy. If you're throwing random letters, that's pretty good for them to come up that way.
An infinite number of times you will get a Ramsey round. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks again, Jeff. That was awesome.
Cheers.
Feel free, well, not feel free, but if you're able, please donate to the Mountain Rescue. And kind of in the tradition of winter talks gone past, Jeff has asked if anyone wants to just hang out and chat and have a beer if you've got one, or just chat together in a smaller group, or everyone can stay too. So feel free to do that. So we'll just keep the call going. I'm going to stop recording now, but thanks for coming, everyone. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for another great talk. So